Dan Williams, I'm not dead. I know it's been like 2 weeks, so I'm here. We're going to discuss today, how do you assess someone in the outdoors and you assume they're injured, they appear to be injured. It could be your partner, you could be walking up on somebody. So how do you do that initial assessment? We're not going to get into the very first thing, which are the ABCs, the airway, breathing, circulation. That's going to be your basic CPR class, which I really implore everyone to at least have under their belt before going on an extended trek. Really important. In a minute, I'm going to show you with our mock patient how you would do that. You're just basically going to assess airway, breathing, and circulation. But this is mostly going to be focused on in a anxiety state, an emergency situation where you're going to be at a heightened anxiety. How do you assess this? And the deal is that in an emergency situation, car accident, someone falling off of a small cliff, they fall 20, 30 feet, anything in that scenario, there needs to be a calm. Well, how do you do that? Well, I can do that, but it took years in the emergency room, basically in urgent care. When someone comes in and they're bleeding all over the place, I try to teach students and some of my colleagues that, hey, let's say they were 5 more minutes out. Yeah, they're going to be bleeding a little bit more. It needs to be what I call an expedient calm, all right? You need to move quickly, but you need to be calm. That usually occurs with a lot of experience. So you try to watch this video more than once. You're not going to get it down pat the first time, God forbid, you come across the emergency. You're going to be anxious, your adrenaline's going to be flowing, and you're going to make some mistakes, all right? It's going to happen, but at least there's somebody there. So one of the things that's really important is you want to touch the person, you want to assess the person properly. One of the first things you're going to do is you're going to look at the situation. Did they fall? You're going to look at the whole thing. Were they bitten? Were they attacked by an animal? Did they fall out of a deer stand? Did they fall down a ravine? So what kind of distance? I want to know that. If I got a kid that fell off of a jungle gym, I want to know how high. Was it a bunch of bark that they landed on? Was it hard concrete? You want to know all those situations. It's going to tell you about the amount of trauma, how far they fell. Important data. Same thing here. And when I walk into a room, I'm using all my senses. How is the person going to greet me? Are they greeting me at all? Do they have a bad day? Are they pissed off? Do they smell of alcohol? Are they anxious? Is their foot tapping back and forth? You're walking up on somebody in the woods. Are they completely unconscious? Are they aggravated? Are they a little bit irritable? If they're irritable and they just met you and you walked up on them, do they have a head injury? You see that sometimes. Don't take offense to it right away. Unless he punches you, then you got to deal with that. So we're going to do this with a mock patient. It's really important you assess everything, and then we're going to talk about what kind of injuries you might be looking for in that situation. All right, let's get at it. So we have our mock patient, and here he is. This is Justin. He's been our mock patient a few times if you've seen our videos. Good sport. So we don't know if in this situation, we come upon him on a trail. Did he fall off of a cliff? He's in and out of consciousness. We're not really sure what the deal is. So this goes back to the old paramedic days, some basic things that you need to be aware of. One, you want to talk to him. You want to see if he's responsive. Are you responsive? Hey, are you responsive? Hello? So he's responsive. And if he's not, there are things like you can do, a sternal rub where you basically take your knuckle and see if you can awaken him to this deep pain. But before you do any of that, again, you go back to the ABCs. Airway, breathing, circulation. Again, your basic CPR. You're going to put your head down there and see if he's breathing. You're going to feel breath. You're going to listen. You're going to look at his chest to see if it's rising up and down. And if he's not, then you're going to instill CPR. And like I said, we're not jumping into that. So one of the things you're going to look at, if he's not talking to you, or if he has jarbled speech and he's basically in and out of consciousness, you want to just feel his head all around. You're looking for any blood. If you have gloves, put them on, important. You're going to feel for anything, any head trauma. The other thing that's important, you take your fingers, you're going to stick them in his ears. You're going to stick your, and you're not going to, he's like, oh, what are you cleaning my ears for? No, you're sticking your fingers in his ears and you're looking to see, do you have blood on your ear, on your fingers, or do you have any fluid? Severe head injuries, I have seen two cases bad cases where they're going to be bleeding out of their ear, and in severe cases, I have not seen that, where they have cerebral spinal fluid. Not a good thing. So in those situations, you want to do that and check that. You're going to check his throat, his trachea, make sure that there's no trauma here, no swelling, nothing black or blue. Is his nose clear? And is his mouth clear? You want to check that. You look at his pupils, make sure that his eyes, you're going to open his eyes and look at his pupils, see if they're reactive. These are just basic things that you need to assess. How severe is his head trauma? Does he have head trauma? And then you're going to go through and you're going to basically check all the musculoskeletal. Check his clavicles, you're going to check his arms, his wrists, and if he's he's going to have some pain, he's going to let you know if he has pain. But you're going to check all of these situations. You're going to check his ribs, you're going to push, see if there's any rib fractures. If there is, he's going to let you know. You can check his belly. Again, if you don't know what you're looking for, you're going to be looking for any gouges, abrasions, black and blue marks on his belly. And then for the pelvis, sometimes individuals can break their pelvis. One of the things you want to do to assess whether or not their pelvis is broken, on the top of their iliac crest here and here, you put your hands and you push. And when you push and it's a fractured pelvis, they're going to let you know. Semi-unconscious, you're going to drop their drawers, you're going to look at his underwear or her underwear. Is there blood on their underwear? Did they void and urinate themselves? Do they have a ruptured bladder? Legs, feet, same thing. You're going to go through the whole skeletal system from head to toe. Now, really important, person falls, they're laying on their back, you need to assess their back. What if they have a spinal injury? You gotta be really careful on how you move them. In our next video, we're going to be going through, this is a SAM splint package that you can get. This comes with 5 SAM splints, some smaller ones, and some Medi-Rip to wrap them. We're going to talk about how to splint it the next video. But in these situations here, you're going to look at his back, you're going to take your hand, go under his back, and you're going to feel all along his spine and to see if he's having any pain whatsoever. What about a neck fracture? How do you assess if he may have broke his neck? It's pretty impossible for someone to pith themselves, and that's P-I-T-H, not P-I-S-S. So if you remember in high school when you took a metal rod and you pithed a frog in their spinal column and paralyzed them, basically it's very impossible for someone to do that to themselves. Have them go ahead and take their chin and bring it to their chest. And if he can do that without pain, that's a good sign that he doesn't have a cervical fracture. Nothing's 100% in medicine. You can do that and still have a cervical fracture, but less likely. So that's in one way you can check for that. So if you have an individual that you're concerned about with a fracture, then we're going to talk about splitting next video. And then transport. How are you going to transport this person? If they're severely injured, you're not going to be transporting. You get on 911, you're going to call. If you have another partner with you, have someone with this person. One of the things that is really never mentioned that I see is trying to keep the person calm. So try to keep the person calm. I cannot tell you how important that is. You need to reassure them. We're going to get you help. Someone's going to be with you. If you're going to be there with them, or you got a colleague that's going to be there with them on the trail, touch them for God's sakes. If you have to hold their hand, if you have to rub their hand, if you have to touch their shoulder, touch the person. Let them know they're going to be okay. It's very reassuring to know someone's going to be there with them. You don't need to stand back, crack open a beer or water, and hey, you're going to be fine. But be with the person. And that really, really helps in lowering their anxiety, lowering their heart rate, and giving them some hope. So that's important. So you're going to assess all the long bones, the legs, the feet, the ankles. You're going to look for any abrasions. You're going to reach in their back. You're going to feel if they're laying on their belly, again, airway. You're going to have someone make sure their back is not, assumed broke. You're going to, if you roll them over, really, really important you do that with caution and care. And make sure that their mouth is clear of any debris. Pretty important. And check their ribs, their chest, their belly, head. And ABCs, airway, breathing, circulation. That is going to be in your basics of CPR class. All right, if you have any questions, I know I got one guy out there from Australia that's given me some really good feedback. If you see anything I've missed, list it down below. That would be awesome. All right, guys, if you like the video, give me a thumbs up. I'm going to try to get back to you on a regular basis here. No promises. So I'll see you next time. Keep your eyes on the horizon, your face to the wind. Take care.